1. Stop explaining yourself. Listen, there's no greater insult than being ignored by someone you've poured your time, your energy, your heart into. It stings, it burns, it makes you question your worth in God's eyes. You sit there replaying every moment, wondering what you did wrong, what you could have said differently, how you could have made them see you, value you, honor you. But let me tell you something straight from the heart of God's truth. Someone who ignores you, who overlooks your presence, who treats your existence like an afterthought, doesn't deserve your energy. They don't deserve your time, your care, or your effort. You need to understand this. Every second you spend chasing the attention of someone who's already dismissed you is a second you steal from the purpose God has for you. There's nothing holy about running after people who don't care if you stay or go. There's nothing righteous about constantly proving your value to someone who refuses to see it. You deserve better because you are a child of God. But you'll never get better if you keep pouring your energy into people who've decided you're not their priority. Every unanswered text, every ignored call, every moment of silence is a message from the Lord. They don't value you. And if they don't value you, why are you still giving them your energy? Why are you still feeding a connection that's already withered? Your energy is a gift from God, and where you invest it determines what you reap in return. Invest in people who invest in you, who reflect God's love back to you. Pour into those who pour into you, who see you, hear you, honor your presence. And those who don't, let them go, not with anger, not with resentment, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth in Christ. The hardest lesson you'll ever learn is that not everyone you love will love you back the same way. And that's not your fault. It's not a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their capacity to appreciate God's creation standing right in front of them. Some folks will only see your worth when you're no longer there. Some will only realize your importance when they can't reach you anymore. And that's why you've got to pull back your energy, not to punish them, not to play games, but to protect your heart, your mind, your peace, as God commands. Every time you give energy to someone who ignores you, you're betraying the divine purpose God placed in you. You're telling yourself their lack of effort is okay. You're telling yourself their silence is something you've got to endure. But you don't have to. You don't have to sit there waiting for someone to see your value. You don't have to keep giving to someone who only takes. Let me ask you, how many times have you reached out to someone only to be met with coldness? How many times have you tried to fix a relationship the other person didn't care to save? How many times have you begged, pleaded, overstretched yourself just to keep someone in your life? And what did it bring you? Pain, confusion, self-doubt. It made you feel like you weren't enough. But the truth, straight from God's word, is you are more than enough. You were just giving to the wrong people, people who were comfortable taking you for granted, people who knew you'd always be there no matter how little they gave. But that ends today. Today you choose to pull back. You choose to reclaim your energy. You choose to stop forcing connections that aren't part of God's plan for you. When you pull back your energy, something powerful happens, guided by the Lord's hand. You start seeing clearly. You start recognizing who's truly there for you and who's only there when it suits them. You realize the people who matter, God's chosen ones for your life, never make you fight for a place in their world. They welcome you, they value you, they reciprocate. And the ones who don't, they'll feel your absence. They'll notice the energy they took for granted is no longer there. Some will come running back, trying to reclaim your attention. But by then you'll be different. You'll no longer be the person begging for love, respect, or recognition. You'll have learned that your energy is sacred, a gift from God, and you'll guard it with everything you've got. People only value what they have to earn. The more freely you give your time, your effort, your heart, the more they'll take it for granted. That's human nature. But when you pull back, when you stop reaching out, when you stop making yourself so available, when you stop being the one who always tries, you shift the dynamic. You change the power. And suddenly those who ignored you start wondering where you went. They realize your presence was a blessing, not a guarantee. That's when they either step up or fade away. Either way you win, because either they show they truly care, or they prove they never did. And either way you're free, walking in God's peace. There's nothing lonelier than chasing after people who don't see you, And there's nothing more powerful than standing in your worth rooted in God's truth, refusing to settle for anything less than mutual effort. You're not desperate, you're not needy. You're not unworthy of love, attention, or care. You are a child of God, chosen and precious. And if someone can't see that, they don't deserve access to you. Stop explaining. Stop convincing. Stop overstretching. Pull back your energy and watch how the world adjusts. Watch how people start respecting you. Watch how those who ignored you suddenly crave your light. And watch how, for the first time, you no longer feel the need to give it to them. 2. Withdraw your energy from people who ignore you. Silence is one of the most powerful weapons God has given you, yet so many underestimate it. They think silence is weakness, submission. But let me tell you, silence is control. Silence is wisdom. Silence is strength straight from the Lord's hand. When you master the power of silence, you stop reacting to every little thing. You stop explaining yourself. You stop giving people free access to your thoughts, your emotions, your energy. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability, guided by God's purpose, is power. People don't know what you're thinking. They don't know how you feel. They don't know how to manipulate you because you give them nothing to work with. And that makes them nervous. That makes them respect you. Most folks talk too much. They argue, they justify, they over-explain, they try to prove themselves. But for what? To be understood. To be validated. To win a fight. Let me tell you, there's more power in a God's silence than in 1,000 words spoken in desperation. When you stay silent, you force people to listen. You force them to wonder. You create a mystery that demands attention. People fear what they don't understand, and silence makes you an enigma. The less you say, the more they pay attention when you do speak. The less you reveal, the more they respect what you choose to share. Silence makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts, their own insecurities. They expect a reaction, an explanation, an argument. And when you don't give it, they feel the shift. They feel the weight of your absence. Because silence, my friends, speaks louder than words ever could. Silence tells people you're in control. It tells them you're not desperate for their attention, their validation, their approval. It tells them you know your worth in God's eyes and don't need to prove it to anybody. Think about the last time someone tried to provoke you. Maybe they insulted you, disrespected you, tested your patience. What did you do? Did you respond? Did you explain? Did you argue? And what did that get you? More frustration, more exhaustion, more wasted energy. Now imagine if you'd stayed silent. Imagine if you'd looked them in the eye, absorbed their words, and said nothing. Imagine how powerful that would have been. Because silence makes people second-guess themselves. It makes them question their actions. It makes them wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you know that they don't. There's a reason the most powerful people in the world speak the least. They don't waste words. They don't seek validation. They don't argue for the sake of arguing. They observe, they calculate, they move in silence, trusting God's timing. And when they speak, their words carry weight. Silence makes people lean in. It makes them listen. It makes them take you seriously. Most folks fear silence because it exposes the truth. It shows who's truly there for you and who's only there for what you provide. It reveals who respects you and who just tolerates you. When you go silent, when you stop explaining, when you pull back your energy, you see people for who they really are. You notice who still reaches out when you're not doing all the work. You see who genuinely cares and who only stuck around for what they could take from you. Silence is the test that reveals everything. And when you learn to use it, you gain clarity guided by God's light. There'll be times when people push you, provoke you, try to get a rise out of you. That's when your silence is your greatest weapon. When you don't react, you take their power away. When you don't respond, you leave them questioning themselves. And that's how you win, not through arguments, not through explanations, but through discipline, through knowing when to speak and when to be still as God commands. Most people never master this. They feel the need to fill every moment with words. They talk just to talk, react just to react, explain just to be understood. But those who understand power, who walk in God's truth, know silence is often the best response. Because silence can't be misquoted. Silence can't be argued with. Silence can't be manipulated. Imagine how different your life would be if you mastered the power of silence. If you stopped explaining yourself to people who don't deserve an explanation. If you stopped reacting to every little thing trying to steal your peace. If you stopped wasting words on folks who don't listen. Imagine how much stronger, how much more respected, how much more in control you'd feel. There's strength in silence. There's confidence in silence. There's freedom in silence given by God Himself. When you stop responding to nonsense, you stop inviting nonsense into your life. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop giving people permission to judge you. When you stop reacting, you stop giving your power away. And that's when everything changes. That's when people start treating you differently. That's when they start respecting you, not because you forced them to, not because you explained yourself, but because they feel your power. They feel your silence. And that's something they'll never ignore. 3. Master the power of silence. Time is the most precious thing God has given you, yet most folks treat it like it's endless. They waste it on pointless conversations, empty relationships, people who add no value to their lives. They give it away like it's nothing, like they've got an infinite supply. But let me tell you something, your time is gold. A sacred gift from the Lord. It's the one thing you can never get back. You can lose money and earn it again. You can lose opportunities and create new ones. But once time is gone, it's gone forever. Every second you spend on the wrong people, the wrong situations, the wrong distractions is a second you'll never see again. And one day you'll wake up and realize the biggest thief in your life wasn't other people, it was you. You stole from yourself every time you let someone waste your time. You need to understand this. Your time is your power, entrusted to you by God. Where you invest it determines the life you build. If you spend it on things that don't matter, you'll live a life that doesn't matter. If you spend it on people who drain you, you'll always feel empty. But if you guard, if you protect it like the treasure it is, you'll see everything change. You'll start attracting people who respect your time. You'll start achieving things that once seemed impossible. You'll start feeling a sense of purpose, clarity, and control over your life, all because you're walking in God's plan. The truth is, how you spend your time is how you spend your life. And if you're not careful, you'll waste your life trying to please people who wouldn't even notice if you vanished tomorrow. Most folks don't value time because they think they'll always have more. They say, I'll do it later, not realizing later isn't promised. They say, I've got time, but the truth is, time is slipping away every second. Every moment you spend in the wrong place with the wrong people is a moment you could have used to change your life. And if you're not intentional about where your time goes, someone else will decide for you. They'll take it, use it for their benefit, drain it without a second thought. And the worst part, they won't care. Because people only respect what you demand they respect. If you treat your time like it's disposable, so will everybody else. Think about how many hours you've wasted on people who never appreciated you. How many days you've spent in situations that did nothing for your growth. How many years you've given to relationships that never valued you. And ask yourself, was it worth it? What did you gain? Did it make you stronger? Did it push you forward? Did it bring you peace? Or did it leave you exhausted, frustrated, lost? If the answer is the latter, it's time to make a change. It's time to start valuing your time like gold. It's time to treat every second as sacred because it is in God's eyes. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones with the most talent or the best resources. They're the ones who use their time wisely, who walk in God's purpose. They don't waste it proving themselves to people who don't matter. They don't spend it entertaining nonsense. They don't let anybody drain them. They know every hour spent on something meaningless is an hour stolen from something meaningful. And that's why they move differently. They don't answer every call. Don't show up to every event. Don't entertain every person. They're selective. And that's why they're powerful. When you start valuing your time, you'll notice. Some will respect you for it. Others will resent you because they can't use you anymore. But that's the price of self-respect. That's the cost of taking control of your life. And you've got to be willing to pay it. Because if you don't, you'll keep being a slave to other people's agendas. You'll keep waking up feeling like you're running in circles, giving so much but getting nothing back. And that's no way to live. Your time is gold. It's the most precious resource God gave you. And if you don't start treating it that way, you'll look back years from now and regret every second you wasted on things that never mattered. So guard it, protect it, invest it wisely, because once it's gone, there's no getting it back. 4, value your time like gold. There comes a point in your life when you've got to decide who you're going to be, not who they want you to be, not who they expect you to be, but who God created you to be. And that decision starts with one thing: self-respect, rooted in the knowledge that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. Without it, you're nothing. Without it, you'll let people walk all over you. You'll tolerate disrespect. You'll settle for less than God's best for you. Why? Because you never made self-respect non-negotiable. You let other people's opinions dictate how you treated yourself. You look to them for validation. You let their treatment of you define your worth. And in doing so, you lost yourself. But today that stops. Today you take your power back in the name of Jesus. Self-respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you demand, something you live by, no matter who likes it or not. Because when you start respecting yourself, some folks will fall away. Some will call you difficult. Some will say you've changed. And they're right, you have changed. You've changed because you refuse to be stepped on. You refuse to be used. You refuse to be anybody's second choice, backup plan, or afterthought. You're done settling for scraps when God has prepared a table for you. Psalm 23:5. Making self-respect non-negotiable means you stop entertaining people who don't value you. It means you stop explaining yourself to those who'll never understand. It means you stop lowering your standards to keep people in your life who shouldn't be there in the first place. Because the moment you compromise your self-respect, you lose the power God gave you. The people who truly matter, who walk in God's light, will never ask you to shrink yourself to fit their world. Look back at the times you allowed disrespect, when you stayed in situations beneath you, when you made excuses for people who treated you poorly, when you accepted apologies with no change behind them. What did that get you? Pain, disappointment, emptiness. And the worst part, it was never worth it. The more you tolerated, the less they respected you. The more you gave, the less they valued you. That's the thing about people. They'll take as much as you allow. And if you don't set boundaries, if you don't make self-respect your foundation, they'll walk all over you without a second thought. Making self-respect non-negotiable is about knowing your worth so deeply in God's truth that nobody can shake it. It's about refusing to stay where you're not valued. It's about walking away the first time someone disrespects you, not waiting for it to become a pattern. Because patterns don't change people, God changes people. And if someone disrespects you once and gets away with it, they'll do it again. But if you show them from the start that you're not to be played with, they'll think twice before trying. Some folks will test you. They'll push your limits to see how much you'll take. They'll pretend to care just to see if they can control you, and when they realize they can't, they'll call you names too much, too cold, too distant. But that's the price of self-respect, and it's a price worth paying. Because the alternative is a life of bending, breaking, constantly proving your worth to people who don't deserve you. That's a life of misery. That's a life of regret. That's a life where you wake up one day and realize you gave everyone else the power to define you. But no more. From this moment, you move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with the confidence of someone who knows they're not to be trifled with. Because God is your shield. You don't explain your boundaries, you don't negotiate your standards. You don't beg for respect. Because respect isn't something you ask for, it's something you embody through God's grace. And when you embody it, when you walk in it, when you make it part of who you are, people have no choice but to give it to you. Self-respect isn't arrogance. It's not thinking you're better than anybody else. It's knowing you're enough, just as God made you. It's understanding you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. It's refusing to settle for less than what you know you deserve in God's plan. And if that means walking away from some people, so be it. If that means spending time alone, so be it. If that means disappointing those who wanted you weak, so be it. Because the only thing worse than losing people is losing yourself trying to keep them. When you make self-respect non-negotiable, everything changes. People start treating you differently, some with admiration, others with resentment. But either way, you win. You gain the most valuable thing you could ever have, your dignity, sealed by God's love. And that's something no one can ever take from you again. 5. Make self-respect non-negotiable. There comes a moment when you realize no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you give, there'll always be someone who doesn't approve, who doubts you, who criticizes you, who refuses to see your worth. No matter how brightly you shine in God's light, and if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life chasing their approval. You'll spend years shrinking, molding yourself into something you're not, just to be accepted, just to hear them say you're enough. But let me tell you, if you live for validation, you'll never live. The more you seek it, the more power you give away. The more you crave it, the more you become a prisoner to other people's opinions. You don't need their approval. You don't need their permission to be great. You don't need their applause to know your worth, because God already declared you worthy. 1 Peter 2:9. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you take control of your life. It's the moment you realize the only opinion that matters is the one God has of you, and He calls you chosen, loved, enough. If you believe in yourself system, I'm sorry, but it looks like my response got cut off there. Let me wrap this up properly, delivering the full rewritten article in Denzel Washington's voice, keeping every sentence's meaning intact, maintaining the exact sentence count, weaving in spiritual and motivational elements from God's teachings, and adding a call to action for audience comments inspired by God's word. I'll ensure perfect grammar, coherence, and a professional American English style, with no sentences omitted and all connections logical. Here's the complete version, picking up where we left off and continuing through to the end. 5. Make self-respect non-negotiable. Continued. If you believe in yourself, that's enough. If you respect yourself, that's enough. If you know deep in your soul, through God's truth, that you're capable, worthy, and valuable, you don't need anyone else to confirm it. Because here's the deal, people will lift you up one day and tear you down the next. They'll love you when it suits them and turn their backs when it doesn't. And if your confidence is built on their approval, you'll always be at their mercy. Think about the times you chased validation, when you waited for someone to believe in you before you took a step, when you held back because you feared what they'd say, when you changed who you were to fit in, to be liked, to be accepted. What did that get you? Did it bring you joy? Did it give you peace? Or did it leave you empty, feeling like no matter how much you did, it was never enough? That's the trap of validation. It keeps you chasing a moving target. It keeps you looking outside yourself for something only God and you can give. Those who truly love you, who walk in God's light, will never make you feel like you've got to prove yourself. They won't play games with your worth. They won't make you jump through hoops to be accepted. The only ones who demand constant validation are the ones who don't value you in the first place. And those are the people you've got to stop living for. Because if you keep seeking their approval, you'll always be controlled by it. When you stop seeking validation, something holy happens. You start making decisions based on what's right for you, guided by God's plan, not based on what others think. You stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing yourself. You move with confidence, with purpose, with clarity, knowing the Lord is your guide. And yeah, some folks won't like it. Some will call you arrogant. Some will say you've changed. But the truth is, you haven't changed, you've just stopped needing their validation. And that makes them uncomfortable because they can't manipulate you anymore. They can't control how you see yourself. Think about the most successful, most powerful people in the world. Do you think they got there by waiting for permission? By seeking approval? No. They got there because they believed in themselves when nobody else did. They moved forward when people doubted them. They refused to let others' opinions define them. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to stop looking for confirmation and start acting on conviction. Stop asking, do they approve? And start asking, do I believe in this? Do I believe in myself as God believes in me? Because that's all that matters. When you live for validation, you live in fear, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. And that fear will paralyze you. It'll keep you small. It'll make you afraid to take risks, afraid to fail, afraid to stand out. But when you let go of that need for validation, you become free to be yourself, free to make mistakes, free to chase the life God destined for you without hesitation. And that kind of freedom is priceless, a gift from the Almighty. The folks who spend their lives seeking validation never find it, because even when they get it, it doesn't last. They're always chasing the next compliment, the next nod, the next sign they're worthy. But those who stop seeking validation, who trust in God's truth, they carve their own path. They walk into rooms with confidence, knowing their worth isn't up for debate. They set boundaries. They move with purpose. And because they don't need validation, they naturally attract respect. Because people are drawn to those who stand firm in who they are, who shine with God's light. You've got to understand your value doesn't shrink just because someone fails to see it. Your worth isn't tied to their approval. You are enough, just as God made you. You don't need to prove it. You don't need to beg for it. You just need to own it. And when you do, everything changes. Because when you stop seeking validation, you start living for yourself, for God's purpose. And that's the most powerful thing you can ever do. 6. Stop seeking validation. There comes a moment when you realize some people aren't meant to stay in your life. Some are only there to drain you, to break you, to hold you back from God's plan. And the mistake most folks make is thinking they owe those people an explanation. They think they've got to announce their exit, justify why they're leaving. But let me tell you something, you don't owe anybody a warning when you're protecting the peace God gave you. You don't need permission to walk away from toxic situations. You don't need to explain why you're done with disrespect, manipulation, or mind games. You just need to move, trusting the Lord will guide your steps. Toxic people don't change. They don't wake up one day and see the damage they've caused. They don't reflect on their actions and decide to do better. No, they keep doing what they do best, taking advantage of your kindness, exploiting your loyalty, using your emotions against you. And as long as you keep giving them chances, as long as you keep reasoning with them, as long as you keep hoping they'll change, you'll stay trapped in a cycle of pain. They'll keep hurting you, apologizing just enough to keep you around, then doing it all over again. The only way to break that cycle is to walk away without warning, without debate, without a second thought. The problem is, most folks are scared to leave because they think toxic people deserve closure. They think they owe them one last talk, one last explanation, one last shot to make things right. But closure is a trap. It's just another way for toxic people to pull you back in, to manipulate you into staying a little longer, to convince you things will be different this time. But things won't be different. They'll be the same. Because toxic people don't want to change, they want to keep you under their thumb. When you walk away without warning, you reclaim your power in Jesus' name. You send a clear message that you won't be manipulated, that you won't tolerate disrespect, that you won't entertain chaos. And yeah, some folks will be mad. Some will call you heartless, some will try to guilt you, make you feel like the bad guy for choosing yourself. But here's the truth. The people who truly love you, who walk in God's love, will never put you in a position where you have to choose between them and your peace. The only ones who get upset when you walk away are the ones who are feeding off your suffering. Think about the times you stayed in toxic situations longer than you should have. The times you ignored the red flags, forgave the unforgivable, gave chance after chance to people who didn't deserve you. What did that get you? Did they change? Did they value your kindness? Or did they take you for granted knowing you'd never leave? Toxic people don't respect patience. They don't value second chances. They don't care how much you love them, because they only care about themselves. And as long as you keep giving, they'll keep taking. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. It's self-respect. It's survival rooted in God's call to guard your heart. Proverbs 4:23. It's saying, I won't let myself be drained. I won't let someone else's dysfunction become my burden. I won't waste my energy trying to fix what was never mine to fix. The truth is, some people are beyond saving. Some will never acknowledge the pain they cause. Some will never understand the damage they do. And the longer you stay, the more you lose yourself trying to change someone who refuses to change. The moment you walk away, you reclaim your peace. You stop explaining yourself to people who never cared to understand. You stop wasting your breath on conversations that go nowhere. You stop letting someone else's negativity control your mood, your energy, your life. And yeah, it'll be hard at first. You'll miss them. You'll question your decision. Because toxic people have a way of making you think you need them, that you're nothing without them. But that's a lie from the enemy. You were whole before them, and you'll be whole after them by God's grace. The only thing you're losing is the chaos, the pain, the stress they brought into your life. And here's the thing, when you walk away without warning, you don't just shock them, you force them to face themselves. Toxic people thrive on control. They expect you to react, to argue, to fight for the relationship. They expect you to stay long enough for them to convince you to give them another chance. But when you disappear without a word, they're left with nothing but silence. And in that silence, they're forced to see that you were never the problem. You were the one holding it all together. You were the only one who truly cared. Some will try to come back. They'll send messages, make promises, say all the right things. But don't fall for it. Because if they valued you, they'd never have put you in a position where you had to leave in the first place. They only miss you because they lost control. They only want you back because they can't use you anymore. But you've made your choice. You've chosen peace over chaos, self-respect over toxicity, freedom over manipulation. And that's a choice you'll never regret. Walking away without warning isn't about being cruel, it's about being done. It's about knowing your worth so deeply through God's truth that you refuse to negotiate it. It's about choosing yourself in a world that tells you to sacrifice for people who don't deserve you. It's about understanding that some people will never change, and the only way to win is to remove yourself completely. Because at the end of the day, the only person responsible for your peace, your happiness, your well-being is you, under God's guidance. And you owe it to yourself to walk away from anything and anyone that doesn't serve His purpose for you. 7. Walk away from toxicity without warning. There comes a time when you've got to stop being available for everybody but yourself. A time when you realize saying yes to things you don't want to do is the fastest way to betray the person God created you to be. Because every time you say yes out of guilt, you're saying no to the peace God wants for you. Every time you say yes to please others, you're saying no to the joy God has planned. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life being everything for everyone except yourself. You'll pour into others until there's nothing left for you. You'll stretch yourself thin trying to meet everyone's expectations while ignoring your own needs. And one day you'll look in the mirror and wonder why you're so exhausted, so drained, so empty. But here's the truth straight from God's word. You weren't put on this earth to be a people pleaser. You weren't meant to sacrifice your well-being to make others comfortable. You weren't born to say yes when your soul is screaming no. Because every time you do that, you abandon yourself. You teach people that your time, your energy, your boundaries are negotiable. You show them you'll always be there, no matter what it costs you. And the more you give in, the more they take, the more they expect, the more they demand, until you wake up and realize you've been living for everyone but you. Saying no isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's survival. It's self-respect, rooted in God's call to love yourself as you love others. Mark 12:31. It's recognizing when something doesn't serve you and having the courage to walk away from it. Because people will take as much as you allow. They'll drain you if you let them. They'll use you if you don't set boundaries. And the only way to stop it is to stand firm in your no. Stop explaining. Stop apologizing. Stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. Think about all the times you said yes when you wanted to say no. The favors you took on out of guilt. The events you dragged yourself to exhausted. The relationships you clung to even though they drained you. And for what? Did it make them value you more? Did it bring you peace? Or did it leave you resentful, frustrated, depleted? That's what happens when you live to please others. You lose yourself. You become a puppet for their expectations, their needs, their convenience. And you forget you have a right to say no just because you want to. The moment you start saying no without guilt, you take back your life. You start protecting your energy. You start prioritizing yourself in a way you never have as God intended. And yeah, some folks won't like it. Some will call you selfish. Some will say you've changed. But you haven't changed. You've just stopped being available for people who took you for granted. You've stopped sacrificing your peace to make others happy. You've stopped letting guilt control your choices. And that's the most powerful shift you can make. Because when you say no, you're not just rejecting a request, you're affirming your value in God's eyes. You're saying, my time matters, my energy matters, my well-being matters. You're reminding yourself you're not responsible for fixing everyone's problems, for making everyone happy, for meeting everyone's needs at your expense. And if someone gets upset because you refuse to overextend yourself, that's not your burden. Their disappointment doesn't belong to you. Those who truly love you, who walk in God's love, will respect your boundaries. They won't guilt trip you for saying no. They won't make you feel bad for protecting your time. The only ones who get mad when you say no are the ones who are profiting from your inability to say it. And that's why you've got to stand firm. Because those who only liked you for what you could do for them were never truly there for you. Start saying no without guilt and watch your life transform. Watch the people who used you fade away. Watch your peace grow. Watch your confidence soar. Because when you stop saying yes out of guilt, you start living for yourself, for God's purpose. You start prioritizing your joy. You start making choices that align with your well-being instead of bending to fit others' needs. And that kind of freedom is life-changing. You don't need permission to say no. You don't need a perfect excuse. You don't need to explain yourself. No is a complete sentence backed by God's authority. Use it. Own it. Stand by it. And don't let anybody make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. Because when you do, you reclaim your life in a way most folks never will. 8. Start saying no without guilt. There comes a point when you've got to decide, do you want to keep living for other people? Or do you finally want to live for yourself? For the purpose God gave you. Do you want to keep worrying about who likes you, who supports you, who stays, who leaves? Or do you want to pour all that energy into the only person who truly matters you, God's masterpiece? Because the moment you start focusing on yourself like never before, your whole world shifts. The moment you stop chasing, stop begging, stop trying to fit into spaces that weren't meant for you, you step into a version of yourself that's untouchable, sealed by God's grace. And that's when everything changes. People will drain you if you let them. They'll pull you into their drama, distract you from your purpose, keep you so caught up in their issues that you forget your own life. And the worst part, they won't even appreciate it. They won't see the sacrifices you made. They won't recognize how you bent over backward for them. Because most folks are too wrapped up in themselves to notice. And here you are, losing sleep over people who wouldn't lose a wink over you. Delaying your dreams to help someone else build theirs. Putting yourself last again. But the moment you stop doing that, the moment you turn all that energy inward, the moment you focus on yourself like never before, you become unstoppable by God's power. You start seeing progress. You start feeling lighter. You start walking with a different energy because you finally realize you're not responsible for fixing everybody else. You understand the time you wasted on people who didn't deserve it could have been spent building yourself into something extraordinary as God intended. And that's when you separate yourself from the pack. That's when you start winning, not because you're better than anybody else, but because you finally chose yourself as God chose you. Most folks don't focus on themselves because they're afraid of what people will say, afraid of losing connections, afraid of being alone. But let me tell you, when you focus on yourself, you don't lose anything worth keeping. The people who truly love you, who God placed in your life, will support you. The ones who leave were never meant to stay. And the spaces that reject you were never aligned with God's purpose for you. So stop being afraid. Stop hesitating. Stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. Because the moment you do, you'll realize how much time you wasted worrying about folks who never worried about you. There's nothing selfish about focusing on yourself. There's nothing wrong with saying, I come first, because God calls you to steward your life well. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to make sure you succeed. Nobody's going to take care of your mental, emotional, and financial well-being but you, with God's help. And if you don't make yourself a priority, if you don't put in the work for your own growth, you'll spend your life watching others win while you stay stuck. And that's not what you were born for. You were born to build, to grow, to be so focused on your path that you don't even notice who's watching, who's caulking, who's coming, who's going. When you focus on yourself, you stop being available for distractions. You stop entertaining nonsense. You stop answering calls from people who only hit you up when they need something. You stop chasing relationships that drain you more than they fill you. Because your energy is too valuable a gift from God. Your time is too precious. And once you realize that, you start moving differently. You stop explaining yourself. You stop begging for support. You stop looking for validation. Because you're too busy building, too busy working on your goals, too busy improving yourself in ways people won't understand until they see the results by God's grace. And here's the thing, when you focus on yourself, people notice. They see the change. They feel the shift. Some will be inspired, some will be intimidated. Some will try to pull you back to the old version of you because they liked you better when you were available for their nonsense. But that's not your concern. Your concern is your growth, your purpose, becoming so focused, so disciplined, so in tune with God's plan that nothing can shake you, not opinions, not criticism, not temporary setbacks. Because when you're focused on yourself, you understand everything else is just noise. And you don't have time for noise. Most folks never reach their full potential because they're too distracted, too caught up in other people's lives, too worried about who likes them, who supports them, who's watching. But when you truly focus on yourself, none of that matters anymore. You stop looking around. You stop competing. You stop comparing. Because your only competition is the person you were yesterday. And your only goal is to be better than them, stronger, more disciplined, more focused, more aligned with God's purpose. So make the decision today. Decide to pour into yourself. Wake up every morning and ask, what can I do today to make me better? To honor God's calling. Decide to put your energy into things that move your life forward instead of wasting it on things that don't. And watch what happens. Watch your peace grow. Watch your confidence skyrocket. Watch your life transform in ways you never thought possible. Because the truth is, the moment you start focusing on yourself like never before, you realize you were the key all along. You were the solution. You were the answer by God's design. And the only thing standing between you and the life you deserve was the choice to finally put yourself first. 9. Focus on yourself like never before. As we come to the close of this moment together, I want you to take a deep breath, a breath that signifies the shift you're about to make, a breath that marks the moment you choose yourself as God chose you. Because that's what this journey is about. Choosing yourself. No matter the noise, No matter the doubts, no matter the challenges trying to pull you back to old ways. It's about committing to the person God is shaping you to be, not the person others want you to be. The road ahead won't be easy. It won't be smooth. There'll be moments when you doubt yourself, moments when you question your worth, moments when others try to drag you down, making you feel like you're too much or not enough. But I want you to remember something critical. None of that matters if you keep your eyes on yourself and on God's purpose for you. None of that matters if you prioritize your peace, your growth, your journey as the Lord commands. Because when you focus on yourself, when you truly embrace the power of saying no, of walking away from toxicity, when you master the art of silence, when you stop explaining yourself and seeking validation, that's when you'll see the change you've been praying for. That's when you'll start walking in your own light, reflecting God's glory. Remember this: your time, your energy, your peace, they're all yours to protect, gifts from the Almighty. You're not here to serve others at the expense of your well-being. You're here to grow, to evolve, to become the best version of yourself, as God intended. But that requires sacrifice. It requires you to look in the mirror and say, I am worth it. I deserve peace. I deserve respect. I deserve to prioritize myself because I am God's creation. And once you make that choice, once you commit to that truth, everything will fall into place. As you move forward, I want you to remember it's okay to walk away from things that don't serve you. It's okay to walk away from people who don't value you. It's okay to say no without guilt, to focus on yourself without apology. In fact, it's necessary, because as long as you're focused on others, you'll lose sight of your own purpose. And once you lose sight of your purpose, you start to drift. But when you focus on yourself, when you truly focus on your goals, your peace, your growth, a quiet confidence builds inside you, rooted in God's strength. People will notice. They'll see the change in your energy. Some will be inspired. Others will resist it. But either way, they'll realize the only way to move forward is to follow your lead, to seek God's truth as you do. So don't be afraid to stand alone sometimes. Don't be afraid to walk your own path, even if nobody's walking with you. Because when you choose to walk alone, you're never truly alone. You're walking with God, with purpose, with intention, toward the life you deserve, the life you've been fighting for, the life that's always been yours to claim. You are worthy of everything you desire: peace, respect, success, happiness. But it all starts with one thing: focusing on yourself. It all starts with you deciding to put yourself first, to stop seeking validation, to stop apologizing for choosing your own well-being. You don't owe anybody an explanation for prioritizing yourself. You don't owe anybody an apology for saying no to things that don't align with your values, your goals, your peace as God defines them. I want you to grasp this truth. When you stop chasing others' approval, when you stop craving constant validation, you free yourself from the chains holding you back. You stop giving people power over your worth. You stop letting others dictate how you feel about yourself. And in that freedom, you become unstoppable by God's grace. When you focus on yourself like never before, you stop letting other people's problems become your problems. You stop letting their negativity drain your energy. You stop taking on their issues as your own. You realize your peace is priceless and you'll protect it at all costs. You'll choose to walk away from any situation, any person, any relationship that threatens your peace, because you understand your peace is the foundation of everything else, a gift from God. Without peace, nothing else matters. So take the lessons you've learned today and carry them with you. Walk forward with confidence, with clarity, with purpose, knowing God is with you. Every day, choose to focus on yourself. Every day, choose yourself. Every day, prioritize your peace. And as you do, you'll see the world around you start to change. You'll see people start to treat you differently. But most importantly, you'll see how you start to treat yourself differently. The moment you stop giving so much of yourself to others, the moment you reclaim your time, your energy, your peace, you'll become a force to be reckoned with in Jesus' name. And no one, no matter how hard they try, will ever pull you back to where you were before. Because once you step into your power, once you focus on yourself like never before, you can't go back. You can only move forward. And forward is where God's miracles happen. It's not always easy. The world will try to pull you in 100 directions. But trust me, the best choice you can make is to decide you're worth the investment. You're worth the time, you're worth the energy. And when you put yourself first, the whole world will start reflecting that back to you by God's grace. So as you leave this moment today, walk with your head high, knowing you are enough. You are worthy. And the journey you're on is the one God always meant for you. The people who see your worth will stand by you. The ones who don't will fall away. And that's okay. Because you're no longer available for anything or anyone that doesn't honor your peace and your power as God commands. Thank you for taking this time to invest in yourself today. Thank you for choosing yourself as God chose you. May you always walk in your truth. May you always know your worth. May you always remember the most powerful thing you can do is focus on yourself, reflecting God's glory. God bless you. Keep shining. Keep rising. And never forget, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself under God's love. Stay true to you, and the world will have no choice but to respect it. Call to action, share your story, God's chosen ones. Now, I'm talking to you, yes, you, the one reading this, the one God calls his own. You're not here by accident. You're here because God has a purpose for you, a plan to prosper you and give you hope. Jeremiah 29:11. I want you to take a moment and reflect on how these words have stirred your soul. How have you stopped explaining yourself, walked away from toxicity, or said no without guilt? How has God's truth helped you focus on yourself like never before? Share your story in the comments below. Your testimony isn't just yours, it's a light for someone else, a spark to ignite their faith, a reminder that they too are chosen by God. Let's build a community of God's warriors, lifting each other up, inspiring each other to keep rising. You are special, fearfully and wonderfully made, and your voice matters. So speak, shine, and let the world see God's work in you. Drop your story below, and let's glorify Him together.